Alright, today I wanted to talk about who I think is one of the most underrated Marvel characters, Nova. Specifically, Sam Alexander's Nova. And for some of you, you might be thinking, who the fuck is that? Which is a pretty fair question considering he's not in the MCU. And other than the comics, the only time I remember seeing him was in the Ultimate Spider-Man show where he wasn't even the main focus. So I'm just making this video to talk about him. One day, after falling off a skateboard, Sam Alexander woke up in the hospital to find bad alien bitch Gamora and Rocket the Raccoon. They bring him his father's Nova helmet. His father, Jesse, was a Nova in the past, but Sam isn't really the big fan of his dad, Jesse, because he would always go missing for long periods of time, and he's always telling stories of space adventures, but Sam thought it was all bullshit. So he takes the helmet and kicks it away, but finds it glowing blue. So, curiously, he throws the helmet on and transforms into Nova. The helmet shows him a message from his dad, explaining things as best he can, like how he doesn't have much time, and how the helmet grants him powers before the message fades. Sam then accidentally flies into the air and crashes into a car because he doesn't know what he's doing. The next day, he throws the helmet on again and begins learning how to use his powers. And what are his powers? Well, his power comes from the alien technology from the Nova helmet that is juiced up by the Nova Force. It works kind of like how Green Lantern's ring works. When you put the helmet on, if it's coded to your DNA or whatever, it grants you increased durability, extremely fast flight speed, super strength, and you can use the Nova Force to do many things, like energy projection to various levels, like small beams to blowing up entire ships. He can also make really durable shields, and if he flies fast enough, he can create hyperspeed portals to wherever he chooses to travel through space quickly. And his helmet is also like a supercomputer, so it can translate languages or give him alerts and other shit like that. He's pretty fucking insane. And unlike most Novas who rock the gold helmets, Sam has the black Nova helmet, which is a more powerful helmet that has like no limitations on it compared to the others. The only con to his powers is that if he doesn't have the helmet on, he has no powers. And if it does somehow get damaged, which is pretty hard to do, but if it does, it can start glitching out. Or if it's bad enough, it just might not work at all. And it would need to be fixed, which is hard to do since it's made from alien technology. But now that you know all that, let's go over some of the shit that he's done. Right after learning about the helmet and its powers, Sam was learning how to fly and accidentally crashes into the moon. And there he finds the Watcher. And in the Watcher's eyes, Sam sees a massive Chitauri army coming this way from space. Sam goes back home, and later that night, Gamora and Rocket show up again, and this time they help him train so he actually knows what he's doing. After training, they tell Nova about the Chitauri and how they stole the ultimate nullifier and plan to use it on Earth. Luckily, when Sam was shown the army, his helmet pinged their location. Rocket and Gamora tell him that if he flies fast enough, he can space jump there and scout the location. So Sam flies really fast and jumps, but he jumps right in front of him. So he just gets to business and starts flying through all the ships and just tearing shit up. But he ends up getting hit and knocked down and meets a dude named Titus, who actually was previously a Nova and fought alongside Jesse until he got injured and joined the Chitauri. He wants Sam's helmet and he wants to destroy Earth, but Sam breaks free, snatches up the nullifier, and dips out. But that night, Titus shows up at his house. Sam somehow takes his helmet from him, blasts the hell out of him, and sends him to a skate park. But Titus survives this and tries shooting the people at the park, but Nova blocks them, grabs Titus and brings him up into space, and then he accidentally uses the nullifier, which takes out Titus and the entire Chitauri army he was with. Boom, successful first few days on the job, I'd say. A little later on, he gets involved in some Avengers stuff and tackles the fuck out of a Phoenix Force possessed Cyclops, which helps in his defeat. Another time, Thanos caught wind that there was another Nova running around. I should have mentioned all the other Novas are presumed dead, so Sam is the only one remaining. And I guess Thanos isn't a big fan of Novas because of the OG Richard Rider. So he sends this crazy alien assassin chick Caldera to deal with him. Sam arrives home to find Caldera chilling with his little sister, who's sedated, and his mom, who's tied up with explosives. But Caldera gives him an option. She tells Sam that if he keeps the helmet off, she'll fight him without her weapons, and if she loses, she'll leave, as long as they use straight hands and just squabble. When I was reading this, it kind of reminded me of End of Watch, when Z drops the badge and gun and throws down with Trey.
What you say, you want to take a fade?
Great movie, by the way. Anyways, Caldera, who is trained and matured, obviously starts beating the shit out of the 14 or 15-year-old freshman Sam. It's not even a competition, but I respect the heart from Sam. Sam calls her out though and is like, yo, my nuts haven't even dropped yet, this isn't even a fair fight. So his buddy Vance, who he met like yesterday, who has telekinesis, puts the Nova onto him, and then Sam starts blasting. He then speed blitz tackles her, and they teleport back to where she came from. He punches her into a wall, and then lands one more juicer to her lips to put her out for good. If we jump ahead a few issues, while in space, Nova gets a space alert and heads over to find a giant Nova spaceship being taken over by some space pirates. So Nova stops the pirates by blasting them, and helps the ship escape. He then goes inside to meet a dude named Skaarn. You can tell just by looking at dude that he's evil. But Nova ignores all signs. He tells Nova he's the good guy, and he also needs help powering his ship. Sam's kinda up in the air about it, but after he meets Jin, I think it's Jinin, I don't know. But Nova lays eyes on an alien girl and starts thinking with the wrong head, so caution is thrown out the window, and he powers the ship for them and then dips out. Later on, he gets paid a visit by the goat himself, Beta Ray Bill. Thinking he's a bad guy, Sam smacks him in the lips with his helmet, slaps it on, and then tries fighting. He low-key gets smacked, but gets up and starts beaming Beta Ray. He also smacks him with the power line, but then gets lightning struck down on him, and Beta Ray Bill lays Stormbreaker on Nova's chest so he can't move. But Sam blows the ground from under himself to get out and punches Beta Ray in the lips. But he heard Beta Ray mention Skaarn, so he stops and is like, hold up, you know Skaarn? Beta Ray tells him that Skaarn was actually the pirate and enslaved their people, and the people that Nova stopped were actually the good ones. So they both chill out, and Sam joins Beta Ray to help stop Skaarn to make up for his mistake. They arrive at Nowhere, which is a big spot inside a dead celestial head. Beta Ray Bill confronts Skaarn but can't stop him because he has hostages, and outside Sam fights off a big ass juiced up robot. It eventually grabs Sam, but he uses his power to break free and then wraps the thing up and fries it with the Nova Force. They then confront Skaarn again later on, who teleports them away to the other end of the universe in exchange to spare the lives of the people he took. But Sam faked being teleported by using a hologram. He then gets led to a telepathic dog named Cosmo who is poisoned by Skaarn. Sam brings Cosmo to the doctors to get him treated, and then Cosmo tells Sam that the reason Skaarn is here is so that he can use the teleporter and pull off this weapons heist. Nova shows up to stop him, but finds his men instead, so Nova wastes no time and beams one of them, tackles another, and then knocks out a couple more, then teleports them all away. But before he can go and stop Skaarn, he has Cosmo teleport him back to Earth because he's going to get expelled from missing school. He's got his priorities all fucked up. Cosmo tells him to think of a specific location, and he'll teleport him to it. He ends up in the women's locker room at his school. That's crazy. He then rushes to his class before the bell because the principal has been on his ass for missing school. Then, quickly books it back to Nowhere and meets Cosmo and Beta Ray Bill. But bad news, Skaarn robbed a weapons bank and came pieced up with some of the most powerful weapons in the universe. Nova quickly smacks him in the lips and holds him off while Beta Ray Bill rescues the people being held. Nova does get fucked up a little bit, I'm not gonna lie, but once Skaarn starts talking shit about Earth and how he's gonna destroy it, Nova dials in, speed blitzes him, and slams him into the ground with a couple follow-up juicers to put him away. Sometime later, Sam finds out his dad has been being held prisoner this whole time and was being forced to fight in gladiator battles by the Chitauri. So he flies all the way there and sneaks onto Chitauri Prime and wastes no time taking people out. He ends up finding this raggedy ass dude who's in charge, but the man has an absolute unit for a bodyguard, so Sam powers up the Nova Force and teep kicks the dude in the dick. And then the dude in charge is like, you know what, never mind bro, I'll just show you where the prisoners are. He leads him down there, but tells him not many prisoners are left since they all recently broke out and left. But he does find a bunch of Chitauris locked up for not stopping the breakout, and so just for the fun of it, he breaks them out and just lets them wreak havoc. Later on in the story, Sam does end up finding his dad. Well, kinda. We'll get to that. But before that, there was an incident on Genosha that caused a bunch of heroes to turn to villains and villains to heroes. One of those being the Hulk, who is now evil, pissed off, and inverted or some shit. And since most other heroes are now villains, Nova decides to step in and help. He flies at the Hulk and gives him the old Tony Ferguson special and throws some dirt in his eyes.
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
He then lands a nice left hook to the lips that actually stuns Hulk, but then he gets grabbed and gets his arm bit. So he sticks his other hand up in his nose and blasts him, which knocks the Hulk out briefly. And the bite only broke his arm, so his durability is actually pretty solid. But the Hulk gets back up and hits Sam with some crazy shit that sends him across the globe and into the Eiffel Tower in Paris. They were fighting in Arizona, and this motherfucker ended up in Paris. But he somehow survives this, the dude's a tank. He then gets up, slaps the helmet on, and tries to fly, but the helmet is so busted up it gives out and he falls, catching himself just in time before he hits the ground. But this doesn't stop our boy. He finds the Hulk, ties him up with some cables, flies him all the way up into space, and lets him float away, saving the day. He's doing things like this in the comics, and the MCU still hasn't shown him some love. It's crazy. Remember how I said some villains were turning good? Yeah, Carnage was one of those guys. Nova was talking with him and he thought it was cool, so he accidentally gave up his name. Granted, his head was fucked up from the Hulk punching him across the globe, so, he cut him some slack. But once Carnage flips back to being evil, he remembers Sam's name, so he tracks down Sam's mom and snatches her up. Sam's girlfriend Carrie sees this go down though, so she calls Sam to warn him. And before Carnage packs up his mom, Sam's able to tackle him through the glass. Carnage tells Sam how he remembers his name, so Sam thinks quick and is like, Sam? I gave you a fake ass name, dude. They start scrapping though, and Sam holds it down for the most part, all while telling him his name isn't actually Sam. and then eventually just ups his hand and blasts Carnage, which completely fries him. But the symbiote's still holding on and it starts healing him, so he fights back. Eventually Sam learns that the symbiote is hurt by loud sounds, so after trying to throw him up into space, which fails because his damaged helmet glitches again, he brings him to a concert, which messes up the symbiote, but again, Sam's helmet glitches, so Carnage runs off to a highway. And then as he's facing off Sam, he just gets smacked by a truck. Nova ties him up like he did the Hulk, and then just drops him off at a prison, and then dips out. Another day saved, and this is all just in his rookie year, I think, or maybe bleeds into his second year. But still, he's like 15, and he's putting up MVP numbers. Remember how Nova was still determined to find his dad? Well, summer break rolls around, and he decides it's time to dial in and save his dad. Cosmo gives him the idea to put a bounty out for information on his dad's whereabouts, but where would Sam get the money? He decides to rob a Chitauri bank with a Deadpool mask. At this point, Sam to the Chitauri is like Aaron Rodgers to the Bears. It's ridiculous. He then goes around and tells people he has some serious bread for info on his dad's location. Obviously, this doesn't go well, and he damn near gets robbed in space, but he handles business, and then someone hits him up and tells him they've put a tracker on his dad's ship. So he gives him half the bread in exchange for the location, but while this happens, the Chitauri are tired of Nova making them look like a bunch of JV scrubs, so they enlist the big dog himself, Warbringer. That name itself is badass. Warbringer decides he'll kill Nova and destroy Earth because why not? And the dude who gave Nova his dad's ship location also gives Warbringer the location for a little extra money. Using the tracker, Nova finally finds his dad and gives him a hug, but almost right after, they get an alert that the Warbringer ship is on him. Sam wastes no time though, and punches Warbringer in the lips and tells him to leave. But Warbringer has some crazy spear thing that stuns Sam bad. He can't even move, but once he breaks out of it, Sam blasts him, grabs the staff, and charges it up. But Warbringer tells him that it's too late, and he already redirected a bunch of asteroids towards Earth. Pissed off now, Sam smacks the shit out of him with the staff, which puts him down for now. Space jumps back to Earth and begins trying to stop a plethora of asteroids heading towards Earth. And he actually does a decent job of stopping them by throwing them away, blasting them, and punching them. Eventually though, some get past him. But luckily, Beta Ray Bill pulls up to help, as well as Captain Marvel, Thor, and Iron Man. So Nova goes back to finish Warbringer. He grabs him, carries him over, and throws him into a star, which turns him into some goo or something. Then tells the Chitauri that this war is over and to release all prisoners. Then finally saves his dad once and for all. Sort of. Not really. We find out later on that this was just a clone. The Chitauri were making a bunch of evil clones of his dad. Actually, to my knowledge, I don't think he ever finds his real dad, so that sucks. But yeah, I found Sam Alexander's Nova interesting and just wanted to talk about him a little bit. There's a lot more stories, but I tried to stick to just his solo ones for the most part. Maybe I'll cover his team stories another time, or a different Nova like Richard Rider. But let me know your thoughts on this and what you want to see next. But that's all I've got for you guys today, so I'll see you in the next one.